The progenitor has arrived, everyone, on Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Evan, joined as always by my co-hosts, Lauren and Bruce, and today we are making our way through more of Fleetway Sonic, and we've got some interesting things on the horizon here. Actually, it's interesting right in front of us.
Yeah, right off the bat, it's pretty interesting.
We are starting off here with The Homecoming, Nigel Kitching and Nigel Dobbin. It's a double Nigel kind of comic. Knuckles encounters a mysterious machine on Angel Island, and an even more shocking presence with it.
Heck yeah.
We're on Angel Island, we're in the Emerald Chamber, and something is catching Knuckles' attention. We've got some kind of alarm going off?
Something about a fluctuation in the island's force field, which, hey, they brought it back up.
They did not completely forget about it, yes.
I mean, I kind of assumed that it would be important. It seemed.
Well, I was gonna say, it's like, I'm so used to Archie not bringing back things back up, but that's not true. Archie brings stuff back up, but
Archie's very selectively weird about it.
This comic's a lot faster with things being important again. Like, Archie will wait, 5 years.
Yeah.
True.
But yes, the alarm tells him he needs to head to Metropolis, the former capital of the island.
I don't know if that's a better or worse name than Echidnopolis.
Better, but it just doesn't. It's just generic.
It doesn't communicate anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the echidnas are allegedly in space in this continuity rather than all being dead.
Yeah.
Which is funny, just because, that makes it a little more plausible that if you wanted to put more of them in there, you could. It's like, just this morning, actually, I watched Sonic Movie 2 for the first time, and it was very strange to me how they kept calling Knuckles the last of the echidnas when, it's like they all died doing something for the Master Emerald, but then it's like, no, they're not. They're just straight up alive in the Knuckles TV show, so some of them are, at least.
It seems like in comic continuity of all sorts, they inevitably are tempted to bring in echidnas. They will do it through one shenanigan or another. I mean, it's the obvious thing, the long-lost race. Of course, it's got to come back.
Yeah, so, every continuity but the games, or, the Prime continuity. I guess I can't call it the Prime continuity. The main continuity.
You can call it the Prime continuity, because Prime is set in the game universe.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it is.
I know, a lot of people don't know that and think that it isn't, or think that because Sonic is surprised by Chaos Sonic, that means it has to be non-canon.
Anyway, the main continuity is basically the only continuity that hasn't tried to bring the echidnas back.
I mean,
no, they did try.
Well, they tried, but they don't actively try.
They're not trying currently, and after Sonic Chronicles, yeah. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now,
we'll
Big
burn
Robot.
That bridge when we get there. Yes, Robot.
I like how Knuckles just walks up to it. It's like, hey, did you know this is a private island?
Yeah, it's rummaging around in the ruins, I assume looking for something. And Knuckles, he's very polite. It's like, this is an off-limits space, and then it shoots at him.
This is a private island, bro. Yeah, and then he immediately shoots at him.
It kind of reminds me of the Metallix design from the Angel Island episodes, in that it has that kind of visor look to it, and sort of quills. It's weird, because it's also got, octopus tentacles.
Yeah, I can see why you'd think that.
But Knuckles is not having any of this shit, so he smashes the ground and opens up a chasm for it to fall into.
Pretty fast fight.
Well, sure, but that's not the point, because
the fight's not the point, yeah.
The chasm it falls into is one thing. The rubble that it left behind is another, because someone climbs out of it. It's the progenitor.
Dr. Finitiv... Oh, wait, no, it isn't.
No, this is... No, it's Dimitri... No?
No, it's not Dimitri.
This is a white echidna by the name of Dr. Zachary. And this guy, best I can tell, has had an extremely long-term effect on other Sonic continuities.
Crazy.
He predates Starline, he predates Ix, he predates Finitivus, he predates Edmund and Dimitri. Penders loves claiming he was the first person to create echidna scientists or technicians as, proof that he owns the idea and that, chronicles his plagiarism. This absolute Chad right here stands in the way and utterly demolishes that argument.
Get fucked.
For those wondering, though, Bender's response is that my brain thought of the idea before Sonic the Comic published these stories, so I still deserve the credit.
Doesn't fucking matter.
No, I shouldn't be surprised.
That's hilarious.
Anywho, Knuckles is shocked to see another person of the
Understandably.
Echidnas. Yeah. So let's give him a tour. Let's show him around the island. Let's show him to the Emerald Chamber. Nothing dangerous about that.
Yeah. Let's just randomly show people the fucking Emerald Chamber.
Also, hey, the emeralds have been in the right shape, I'm just realizing.
Yeah, they have. They've been in the right shape, I think, most of the time we've seen them recently.
Except you may notice...
in the right shape.
Yeah.
Except you may notice there's not the right number of them. There's 6 Chaos Emeralds and 1 Master Emerald. Are they saying that the green Chaos Emerald is the Master Emerald?
Yeah, that's something that this comic seems to be establishing.
Is it really?
I don't know.
I just maybe it's just behind the Master Emerald.
No, I mean that's a theory.
Anywho, Knuckles is like, oh well, let's talk about my people. I want to learn about them. And Zachary's like, oh yeah, I'll tell you, but I have to sleep first because I'm old and I've been chased by a giant robot.
I mean, okay,
fair enough.
That's fair enough, honestly.
Yeah, but it does leave Knuckles kind of bored and annoyed because it's like, well, I just met this guy. I want to learn some shit. So
also understandable.
I'm gonna investigate in the back room, and it's like, oh, we just happen to have some scrolls here, and hey, it's the blueprints for this machine.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't waste time. He apparently recognized it, so I guess he's rummaged through these things before. It's interesting. Sort of all the background stuff that starts to pop up that it doesn't come from the games or anything, so you're just like, oh, okay, so I guess, yeah, sure, there are just old documents as well from Echidnas.
Angel Island seems much more like a place where there was a society that abandoned it not that long ago, necessarily.
Yeah.
Whereas in the games, you could convince me that Knuckles had been teleported into the future from the Knuckles clan for all the difference it makes to how old Angel Island feels.
Fair enough, yeah.
One thing is I'm interested about if this continuity will actually explain how, just Knuckles here. Why was he left alone?
Yeah. That's something I've always wanted explained.
And I don't know, maybe it will. Anyway, so that machine was designed by the Echidnas, and hey, there you are, buddy.
Yeah, it wasn't destroyed earlier.
Yep, so he fights it, but as before, he's not actually much of a match for it. These things are hardy.
Yeah, no kidding.
And hey, it was supposed to be following Dr. Zachary, right? He's right there. Why isn't it going after him? It literally stops to look at him for a second, and then doubles back to hit Knuckles.
I mean, you could say Knuckles is the bigger threat.
Sure.
Well, it becomes apparent pretty soon that it's not going after Zachary or Knuckles. No, it's going after the Master Emerald, apparently.
Grabs the Master Emerald and appears to start cracking it or trying to rip it apart.
It just rips it apart with its hands.
Kind of impressive.
Well, maybe. The thing is, Sonic media seems inconsistent with establishing how tough Chaos Emeralds are supposed to be.
Well, so the Master Emerald we know is supposed to be able to break. Or at least in the games.
Yeah, well, so in the first time, it's like, okay, I'll accept it a little more because, chaos was, infused inside of it. That's kind of an unusual circumstance. But I never really bought that Knuckles could just punch it like he does in Sonic Adventure 2. I thought that was lame. But I guess this is an equivalent feat.
I would say that in SA2, you at least have the connection that Knuckles is the Guardian. There's a bit
I can understand Knuckles being able to do it.
There's a bit in post-reboot Archie where Knuckles does the same thing and intentionally breaks the Emerald. And they actually have him say, the Master Emerald prayer before that. So if you think of it as it being some sort of magical power that he uses, it's fine. But then you have Sonic Battle, where you can just break the Chaos Emeralds into pieces and give them to Phi units.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, good point.
So, yeah. But as far as this continuity goes, all bets are off, so.
Yeah.
Especially since there will be ramifications of this.
Yes, indeed. Zachary tells Knuckles to stay away, but he's like, I'm not going to let these things absorb the Chaos Emeralds, too. Or rather, I'm going to try not to. It's a really damn strong robot. It laser blasts Knuckles from its eyes, sending him through a wall and dropping a bunch of rubble on him.
Well, it's been energized by the Master Emerald now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reveal come out because Zachary is happy to see his target destroyed.
Oh, shit.
It's his robot.
Also, Dude, you should have recognized like that Knuckles was a major character and can't just die that easily because he doesn't even check if he's down. He's just like, well, my robot is so great, he must be dead. Now I shall speak out loud that I am here for revenge for no one to hear except maybe Knuckles if he's still alive.
But he'd never still be alive.
Listen, if you ever see someone realize your design is derivative of theirs, you gotta worry about them.
Ooh.
And, yeah, the robot is under his command, and it's also not just a robot, but it's kind of like a mech suit that can operate autonomously.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly a really weird design, if I'm honest, because it's got, like, hose arms and legs that are only sometimes, like, tentacles, and, dude has all the emeralds, which is, sending Angel Island falling, and now he's able to fly with it because its arms can, like, grow into wings?
Yeah, it's interesting design. I guess the guy just couldn't help but announce their plan to no one because they're insane, because they're like, oh, I have to have revenge, at the other echidnas for something. But also, I'm just gonna, like, ravage Mobius for no reason while I'm here.
Yeah, it's like... Dude, he calls it a warm-up that he's going to destroy the people of Mobius, and it's like... your revenge will come a lot faster if you don't needlessly antagonize everybody around you.
Good point.
Yeah.
Hell, lie to Knuckles, get him on your side. That's been a thing that's been shown to work. And him trusting another echidna is something I would believe.
Yeah.
But, no, I guess he just needs the bonus genocide. But, of course, Knuckles is not down for the count. He bursts from a zoom tube and ruptures one of the robot's wings, sending it to the ground.
And then Zachary is like, how dare you, you meddling fool, you ruined everything. Like, it wasn't the very logical move for Knuckles to do. The guy's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're a dickhead. Why would I do what you want? And it's funny, because it's like, oh, we're about to fight, and it's like, oh, right, I forgot the island was falling. It's about to crash into a mountain.
It's something I never even thought about Echidna Island. Wow, Angel Island's orbital path. But that's a good point. That if it goes too low, its orbital path is going to become a major problem.
And it does. It basically gets impaled on it, and it's going to be gradually, slowly falling apart more and more as the emerald power drains. But, we did have a nice setup in that Knuckles being able to not do much to the core of this robot, but able to rupture the wings, I think makes sense. They're probably made out of some sort of more elastic material, which means that he manages to literally sever the head from the rest of the body by hucking a rock at it.
Yeah. I did not expect Zachary to put up so little of a fight, honestly. Like, the designs were seen elsewhere, so it almost maybe he just, like, took an existing robot and, like, altered it slightly to, like, maybe do nothing more than just listen to him. I don't know. You could argue.
I'm gonna give you a minor spoiler. You're right on the money, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, what I'm getting at is, like, I'd heard about this guy, and it's like, whoa, the first echidna, but it's over way too quickly. I do know he returns later, though, at least.
I mean, the image that I always saw of him on the wikis, he had some sort of giant mechanical eyeball, which he doesn't here, so... But, Knuckles, he severs the head from the robot, the rest of the body falls down, alongside Zachary, who also falls out and then down.
Damn.
The island collapse gets the ground he was sitting on. But, because the head and the body are separate, he does not take the emeralds with him. And hilariously, it's like, well, this thing has all the emerald power inside it, so we just
Master Emerald.
Put the head back in the chamber.
Sure, why not?
I didn't expect that at all.
No, I don't think anyone could have expected that.
Very strange, but okay. I guess this means that something will be coming out of this, and it does.
Yeah.
I can logically see the path of events, and it does raise Angel Island back up, so for right now, it's like, it's another just barely held together, like, jury-rigged solution. This comic, it gives the heroes a messy win a lot of the time, which I like.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting.
At least in important stories. Obviously,
Sure.
But Knuckles reflects on the terrors today brought, never having expected that the first other echidna he saw would be a bastard. And it's like, I wonder what he wanted revenge for. And I do too.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's cool. It's amazing just how far back the concept of echidnas being, technologically advanced was. Because that's not a thing in Sonic 3.
Yeah, no, that is interesting that seems to be a commonplace in continuities besides the main continuity.
Yeah, it's weird. It's something I almost just immediately associate, even though, technically, it's not confirmed in main canon.
I guess the closest thing, if we recognize the Chronicles has been decanonized, the closest thing you get is, like, Sky Sanctuary in Generations specifically has some, like, sci-fi electronic tech in it.
Yeah, it does.
Which I always thought was weird, because, like, that's not... But...
It is a little weird.
And yeah, it's funny that Starline, Ix, and Finitivus all have part of their legacy to owe to Zachary here, especially since this is his first story, and like anybody's first story, he doesn't get a ton of play.
Right.
But that's what other stories are for. Speaking of which, here's another story. Not about Zachary, though. This is The Return of Chaotix, Kitching and Elson. When Little Planet returns to Mobius's orbit, Sonic and the Chaotix must leap through time to stop the plans of the resurrected Brotherhood of Metallix. Yeah, that's what's happening. You probably could have guessed that we weren't quite done with that after last week.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't get into it. Let's start off here at the beginning. What's happening with Porker? Oh, he's totally fine. Completely fine.
He's almost too fine.
It's funny because wow, the month passed by real quick, but
yeah,
Sonic, it's weird because Lewis is here. He just comes down immediately, and Sonic's like, oh, you sure are acting weird, and it's like he has a whole one line of dialogue. He says, Sonic says, we were all worried about you, and he says, there was no need, as you can see. So I guess that's kind of, I think the weird thing is that he should be terrified, right?
Yeah.
So, sure, fine, fair enough. Whatever you say, Sonic. But also, Chaotix are arriving from the Special Zone for some reason, and they're fighting troopers?
Yeah.
Well, they're very antagonistic, and they just happen to be there, so yes.
Yeah, fair enough. I want to say something about the action, but the action in this comic has had a pretty consistent, looks nice, doesn't vary a lot in terms of how they fight.
Sure.
It establishes that Vector always just bites things in this comic.
I mean, if a crocodile's gonna do anything, it's gonna be biting.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. But they're apparently right near Sonic and Lewis. They just kind of show up there, and it's like, oh, hey guys, what's going on? And Omniviewer says, oh, I sent the Chaotix to investigate Little Planet because the Metallix are there. Why did you not do that in the intervening month? Do you not have access to Little Planet when it's not around?
I guess it's literally must phase into a different reality.
Well, Omniviewer also has access to other realities.
That's true.
Maybe it's just...
I can't get into it yet. I'll complain on it more soon. But for all their abilities, their intelligence does not stack up.
That's true.
Yeah. Sonic is like, what do you mean the Metallix? We defeated those. That problem is solved. But Omniviewer shoots a beam at Little Planet and reveals that it's become a giant metal Sonic head.
The heck? I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah,
that's something weird, but not this.
That's a big one.
I am fully convinced, by the way, that Omniviewer just had outdated information again about the Metallix and just got lucky that they happened to have taken over again.
He had to check the wiki again. Yeah, so it's like, oh no, Lewis, did you know about this? And he's like, no. And it's like, what, that's it?
It doesn't question further.
Yeah, I wonder if they're setting up that he's some kind of Metallix puppet or something.
Well,
anyway, good timing. Everybody rushes up the chain, and Sonic peeps that there's a little metal underneath a torn part of Lewis's jacket. Wow, that didn't take long.
Apparently, the Chaotix just have a device now that stores Omniviewer in a thing.
Is that the one that did they take that from the other Metallix?
I guess they might have. It looks like the same kind of a thing. It's just kind of weird because I don't know why. The dude just floats around and follows him anyway, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. That is weird. Because he can just appear and disappear.
Yeah, it's
Maybe they just needed a Nicole analog.
Not a very good replacement, but it's okay. Let's not dwell on that because we got Porker here, or not actually Porker.
It's Portalix.
Portalix. That's a better name than what
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I must say the reveal shots of this are super weird because you have to mix the Metallix proportions with the humanoid proportions of Lewis, and also the metal face with the pig face. But yeah, he punches Sonic off the chain with like extendo arms, but Charmy catches him, and Sonic immediately calls him annoying because he said "Yes-sirree, Bob."
So far, I do not see what makes him annoying.
It's literally just that he does the fiddly-dees. It's not a good joke. Anyway,
no.
Espio goes invisible to attack Portalix while Mighty distracts him, but it's not enough. We need Sonic to butt in to get the killing blow.
To be fair, they set themselves to explode, and then it's the Chaotix with link rings, I guess, because you had to include those. Sure, that actually knock him away safely.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what exactly this, because like he swings Vector around and Vector punches him. Could Vector just punch him? Do we need that much more momentum?
Well, it's a nice extra bit of power.
I guess the thing is that he says that his blaster is damaged and it'll cause a power overload, which is not quite the same as self-destructing. But it's like we've blown up tons of these things near each other before, and it doesn't really matter. But
I didn't even notice. That's what was going on. I just assumed.
Well, it should have been self-destruct because that would make more sense. But
yeah, that's relevant for later.
But yeah, so Little Planet looks like shit. It is in full bad future mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looks fucking rad.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I want to note, is that a Robotnik head building
It
there?
sure looks like one.
So what's going on? I thought you guys don't like Robotnik. You're basically just recreating all his architecture.
Maybe they still have something in their programming that they have to everything they build has to look like him.
That would be really funny if they can
they
overpower
hate it, though.
They can overpower the logic that makes them obey Robotnik, but not the stuff that makes them build giant statues of him everywhere.
That I can imagine they absolutely hate the fact that everything they build looks like him also.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. These Metallix are also literally designed off of Sonic.
Sure, yeah.
That doesn't seem to bother them.
Yeah.
Well, because they view themselves as, being superior to Sonic.
Yeah, so we're running through. We're going to have to eventually fight Metallix, but Lewis is just here, the real one, tied up? Why?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they just kill him? I guess as a bargaining tool? I don't know why they'd want to bargain, but...
I don't know.
Look, it is a thing across tons of media where characters are captured where there's really no reason to keep them alive. I don't think about it.
Why have you got shadows on a Dalek spaceship? It's fine. It's whatever. It's a kid's comic. Although still a surprisingly hardcore kid's comic, but...
Yeah.
He says the Metallix have already won because they time traveled into the past using their pirate copy of the Omniviewer and changed history. And
okay, now we're getting into it. What the heck? Seriously?
Yeah, this is
I'll accept that maybe the process with the alpha device already started and it just was delayed or something. But nope, the Emperor's back, the whole army's back, and they just time traveled off screen to win just like that. It seems like the previous comic means nothing. They're just like, no, you didn't beat us, actually.
Well, and the strange thing is that, okay, I know that Omniviewer has had an ability to time travel, but the first time we saw it was just him sending Sonic and the others into the future as a last-ditch effort to save them. And he didn't send them back in time. So it's like, if you can go back in time, it seems like there's a lot of things that would be worth changing.
Yeah, this is another thing. If they have time travel, well, I guess I can just say, spoilers, they don't use it to its fullest extent. They just use it to rewrite history once, and then don't really think about it past that point, which it's not restricted either in any way that I can tell.
Yeah, see, the reason that time travel works okay with Little Planet is because Little Planet's time fields are kind of local to it. You can change the past and, create a different future here and there on Little Planet. That doesn't necessarily change anything about the rest of the world. I don't even know if you left Little Planet, would the rest of the world be in the future or something. I don't think so. But here, they say we changed history, and then they look up at Mobius, and suddenly it's just completely mechanized. Like, what?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's also unclear, so I guess the idea is that they happen to travel back in time right when Sonic and the Chaotix arrived on Little Planet, which is a weird coincidence, because they later established that apparently it didn't affect them because they were on Little Planet and, it's an isolated location, and maybe I can believe that because it has time weirdness of its own.
Yeah, it's sloppy. And it's weird because Sonic is ready to go crazy fighting this dudes, but Vector's like, no, we have to regroup elsewhere, go through Omniviewer's portal. And so we just go back to Mobius to see that, no, it really is just Planet Metallix now.
Yeah.
Which is still awesome. I still like horrifying techno-chrome dystopia, but it's like, why did we come here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I mean, I thought they came here because they're like, oh no, it's all taken over, let's take it back, I guess.
We were already doing that, just from a different guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, security gets tipped off real fast, and the Sonic Company get chased around until it's too late. Oh, we're running out of time. But thankfully, this mysterious hooded figure from a manhole shows up in the nick of time to lead them to safety. Relative safety. We still have to have the Metallix chase them down into the sewer, but some sort of EMP bomb goes off and takes them out. And then we get the reveal that is going to make this a whole lot more complicated. The hooded figure joins some others and unmasks himself to reveal he is Ovi Kentober!
Yeah.
Okay, so this initially got me interested, but I was quickly disappointed after this.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Well, it involves what happens next. I was initially interested because I'm like, whoa, they've actually changed a lot of stuff. This could be a whole nother timeline, and we could, spend some time here and, learn, how everything played out this way, find a way to, dismantle it, sort of a thing. But instead, they're like, oh, wow, Kid Tober. Oh, okay, what's going on? And then they're like, oh, well, things are pretty horrible. And then Sonic just instantly realizes, oh, wait a minute, I know why this is all happening. They have to go back in time again. And then they just leave. And I'm just like, wow, you wasted a perfectly good setup.
It's a setting that you could have done something with, but instead it immediately informs you of exactly what the key difference that they're going to have to rectify to make the Metallix stop is going to be.
Yeah.
And then they just go to, he's the leader of an underground resistance movement against the Metallix. Oh, times are rough here and we're fighting as hard as we can. Anyway, bye. Yep.
It's weird because it feels like a rushed story, but this story is in many parts, so it did not have to be this way at all.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing about that is that the story they wanted to tell is not one about being part of an underground resistance movement against a Metallix-controlled world. What they wanted is exactly what they travel into the past for here. And
yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's strange to start off because the background, where are we when we say the past right now? The backgrounds don't have a lot of detail here. There's just Metallixes to fight.
Okay, so, yes. First of all, not only is the Omniviewer an extremely convenient plot device for the villains, or the evil viewer, I guess, but also for the heroes, because they're like, hey, isn't there, a time trail that time travelers leave? And they're like, oh, yeah, definitely. I got you guys. And then they just, follow basically the same path the Metallixes went on. And so this is, some weird abstract time tunnel, if you will. I don't know. I guess it's just a space in time in these comics, like a time vortex from Doctor Who. And because the Metallixes don't want them to go and just control Z what they did, so they have to fight them off here.
I guess. Weird. But if you go into the time vortex, you die. You burst into flame. Here, there's apparently flat ground to stand on to fight them.
It's very weird. They could have just taken this whole section out pretty much, and you would have lost nothing.
Yeah, it's like it's an extra 3 or 4 pages of action that don't really contribute much. The one thing that we do get is that, well, we try out this like Metallix scrambling device that we got from Kintober, which is fine, I guess. But Sonic also mentions, like, he puts it on and he says, the device must alter the Metallix visual inputs, and then he says, sheesh, I'm starting to sound like Vector. Is that Vector's thing? What does that mean?
I think that should have been Porker?
Yeah, that feels like a mistake.
Yeah, it's very strange, because I didn't recall Vector being a technobabble guy.
Not really.
But the one thing that they do salvage from this whole bit is a rotten egg that Sonic picks up from the floor.
Oh boy.
We gotta protect the history that happened, even though it sucks.
It's a closed loop paradox, kids.
Oh boy. I understood that was the idea, but the fact that he literally just picks up the rotten egg, and I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be that simple, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe these guys were, like, on their way back from taking the rotten egg out of the fridge so that Sonic...
Yes, that's exactly it. I think that's the idea. And to be fair, as we will learn based on the narration boxes, this comic came out before, it must have come out before the original intro comic that we read, because it acts like the backstory is a whole reveal. So...
Oh, yeah.
No, it definitely didn't. Nope.
What?
Did it?
Nope.
Really?
Really? I could have sworn that was true. Because...
Well, it does seem like it.
It says the origin of Dr. Robotnik, at last the truth can be told. But this story doesn't tell anything that I didn't already know. Well, okay, except the whole closed loop paradox nonsense.
Yeah, but we didn't really need that.
Okay, well then that weakens this even further.
It really
because
does.
I was like, okay, if this reveals the origin, that would be like cool when you're reading it in the moment at least, and just ruined because of the reading order. But that's just stupid then.
Yeah, I just checked. The prologue was like issue 25 to 26. This is issue like 60 something, almost close to 70.
What the heck?
What the hell?
And you are correct. We do not learn pretty much any new information from this, because we get the Kintober lab, and we see the scenes from before where Kintober and Sonic test the speed shoes, and the gyroscope explodes, and Sonic's like, oh no, I have to put the rotten egg back in Kintober's fridge to fix the timeline. I have to create Robotnik, essentially. He even pulls the cord for Kintober to trip on to make really damn sure, which I do think that is funny, because we were talking about like how, oh, this guy's, such a klutz for being a dangerous mad scientist. It was not entirely his fault, apparently.
No, it's Sonic's fault.
But yeah, the idea that Robotnik was created in order to stop the Metallix is very
odd.
I already didn't like the backstory.
Yeah.
Very much, and this whole story is just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's like Sonic feels awful about having to do all this, and Lewis says, you had no choice. Somehow Dr. Robotnik is the key to beating the Brother Metallix, and somehow is the right word for it. Our last stop after we finish all this is present day Robotnik space, where Lewis asks the exact same question I did. How can Metallix destroy its creator without destroying itself? I thought it was just going to be the Little Planet thing, but no.
Yeah, no.
No, Grimer did it.
Yeah, that was established. Although, there is one question which is not answered ever, which is, in a world without Robotnik, Grimer still makes Metallix?
What? Apparently?
He was just very inspired by Sonic's speed and did not know what he hath wrought. I don't know.
Seems improbable.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? No Robotnik, but you invent Metal Sonic? Whatever. But, this all circles back around to why the Metallix were looking to destroy Eggman, and it's because the one part that he did work on, that he holds the ability over them for, is he has the self-destruct ability. What?
Yeah. So the heroes burst into Robotnik HQ, and I'd like to point out first of all that they tell him what happened, and his response is my response, which is, that is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard. And then, yes, apparently, it's really funny, actually. Grabber's like, oh, yes, I was the one who created the Metallix. And Robot's like, hey, with my genius. He's like, oh, yeah, you made the self-destruct function.
And it leads to the question of, well, wait a minute, what did we have that whole adventure last week for? And he's like, yeah, I just sent you out as a bluff hoping they'd kill you, dude.
This is 100% a retcon. This does not make any sense. Because... Yeah. He literally had Sonic in the palm of his hand. Why does he not just keep Sonic and then press the self-destruct button?
Because that would be a logical story decision.
Yep.
And, importantly, once you learn the Metallix are back, why didn't you just activate the self-destruct ananyway? There's a freaking swarm of them headed for the base right now. So
yeah, he's really slow to the draw, apparently.
Yeah, it's like, we can see them coming. Hit the button! And all that being said, this full-page illustration of the entire army is awesome, you know?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's like, still major props to Elson here, but it's like, ugh. This story is not great from Kitching, I have to say. And yes, we have a bunch of action panels, only for Robotnik to have misplaced the self-destruct, I suppose. He's digging through the drawers.
Yeah, that can't be important. A rogue army, fail-safe button.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Emperor grabs Eggman before he can hit the switch, and it's like, oh no, how can we get out of this? Sonic just grabs the switch and presses it.
Okay.
You may as well have had Robotnik press it.
We do get this raw line from the Emperor, though, which is, to think this small device could destroy the entire Brotherhood. First, I shall crush it, and then do the same to your neck.
Damn.
Good shit. It's such a cool idea that is not being effectively utilized in this story. And case in point, in the most aggravatingly self-aware bit of writing I've ever seen in this comic, they're all destroyed, and Sonic says, "That's it? Bit of an anticlimax."
You don't say.
Yeah.
That really did stop them all. They're all gone now. And
yeah, you also have to accept that somehow the Metallix cannot remove the self-destruct function, because they were aware of it. That's why they were storming the base. But they can still, like, you know, just think up plans involving time travel and even create original robots like the Porker robot. But no, that little task is too hard. You just can't do it.
Yeah. And the whole point, right, is, you know, dismantle the thing that let them work around the self-destruct. But we needed more than just, I'll do it, oh no, wah, okay, I got it, hurrah! You know? And even if they come back later, it's like, it feels kind of cheap. And you know that they're going to come back later because, you know, the day is saved, and we're going home, but Grammar's like, oh, don't worry, I have plans for a new kind of Metallix that won't turn traitor like the old one.
Sure, totally.
It's a Metal Knuckles.
Yeah, it won't turn traitor because it can be easily tricked.
That might actually be the rationale.
Oh, it hurts.
So so overall, the first Metallix story was way better.
Yeah.
I think the interesting idea that they could have gone for here is, you know, Sonic having a sense of grief over having to create Robotnik. I feel like that's the point of the story. The Metallix feel ancillary to all of it. But the way that they got there, and the fact that it's still the Kintober backstory, which we don't like, it just doesn't do much for me. And importantly, it's like, I would hope that it gives Sonic a sense of responsibility over Robotnik, because driven insane by magic, so you gotta have Sonic, you know, feel like, oh, you know, I'm trying to, even if it's a mercy killing, I'm trying to help him by beating him in a way.
I don't know. Also, somehow, the universe... itself causing Sonic to have to create Robotnik, it's so ludicrous that I'm like, how can you even feel guilty about that? What if instead there was something Sonic did? Maybe he didn't even realize it. Maybe it was an accident. But at the time when he was originally with Kintober, he did something, inadvertently perhaps, that set off a chain reaction, and only when he traveled back to see would he realize that was sort of how it played out? I don't know. Something like that might have worked better.
Why didn't they time travel back and stop Grimer for inventing the Metallix?
That's also a good question.
Yeah.
We can't dwell on it. Let's move along. to our next story. And hey, it's Knuckles again. This is The Graveyard, Kitching and Dobbin. While Knuckles hunts for a replacement to the Master Emerald, he finds himself on the receiving end of a revenge plot from the Echidna's distant past. And it's not the revenge plot from last Knuckles story.
I really like that this comic is giving Knuckles interesting things to do that don't feel like completely non sequiturs. Because like this follows from what we just saw last story, and it's linked to like his duties as a guardian as well.
Yeah, he is in the Kohenyu Graveyard, which he calls the one place on Angel Island he's never been to, and dinosaur bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just regular old dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
And they do sell him being kind of out of his element here. He's like, oh, I'll climb down carefully. Oops, avalanche. And poisonous gas plants as well, which are a problem because he loses the gas mask he was wearing when he falls. So don't breathe this, or else you'll get visions of floating Triceratops heads.
I did not expect vengeful dinosaur ghosts.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting.
And the misdirect here is really weird because they have Knuckles get poisoned and then see this, and they have him at a couple points speculate on like, oh, is this a poison hallucination? It's not though, so that's the less interesting answer. It just means the poison did nothing. But yes, this Triceratops is Kohenyu himself, and he wants revenge on all echidnas because I guess in this continuity the echidnas wiped out the dinosaurs.
Oops.
Oopsies.
Who even needs meteors?
I kind of just assumed it was this one species of dinosaur, but that's funnier.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know if there are other evidence of dinosaurs in this continuity.
I didn't expect there to be any, so who knows?
In any case, he has raising the skeleton dead powers, and Knuckles is like, alright, I can fight. Oh, no, I can't because there's too much poison in my brain.
I always laugh at, like, the over-the-top, just vengeful, evil spirits, because this guy, like, sees Knuckles drop. He's like, no! I'll be robbed of my revenge!
Yeah. They take him into a cave so that he can recover instead of dying, so then later they can kill him.
Yep.
But ironically, this ends up leading Knuckles exactly where he wanted to be, because this cave is full of unrefined Master Emerald? What?
Oh my.
Yeah, that was mentioned earlier, but I didn't bring it up.
That's true, it was.
So, this comic worked so hard to bring in, and then I guess screw it up last issue, but that was probably just an art error. Bring us back to 7 emeralds, 1 Master Emerald. Now, like, actually there's a lot of potential, I guess, emeralds around.
Yeah, well, and it makes me wonder how the hell this works. So there's only one space the thing can be on Angel Island to keep it held up, I guess?
Yes.
So, the way I understand it, I'm pretty sure this is the case, is these are containers more than actual sources of power, because later we will see Knuckles has to actually drain the power that was drained from the Master Emerald into a new emerald he creates.
Yeah.
So it's not the location, it's that these themselves don't have any power.
I guess. I guess what ends up being weird about that is then, if you can just contain it in whatever, why specifically do you need to replace the robot head? Is it just for aesthetics?
Oh, I mean, okay, first of all, I don't immediately assume you can contain it in anything. I mean, this is an energy source that can turn people, into crazy mad scientists or hippies, depending on the situation. Also, I mean, Knuckles has a lot of, reverence for his past. So, of course, he wouldn't want just a robot head there.
Okay, that's fair. It's a big cultural touchstone. That's a good point. I think part of it is that when I think about Knuckles, I actually don't think that hard about someone who takes, his heritage that seriously. He takes his duty seriously, but, Game Knuckles, if you asked him what the echidna are like, he'd be like, oh.
Yeah, not quite the same here.
But Knuckles asks what the hell is going on, and Kohenyu is like, yes, the echidna hunted the dinosaurs to extinction, at least here on the island. But it seems like it was kind of an accident because they really, just wanted food, I guess. But they didn't know...
They were probably limited how much food they could get.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's an island. But the male population of these dinosaurs was way smaller, which meant that they killed all the males, and
Damn.
well, now you can't have new dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, also apparently the males are just like the slowest, which seems like an evolutionary flaw.
Dimorphism in sexes between animals has a lot of weirdness to it. And these things are big enough that there wouldn't be a lot of other stuff to predate on them in the first place, so...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true. They do explicitly say that, like, oh, you had weapons that we'd never seen before, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
I mean, think of how few animals in our world have accounted for the existence of humans.
Fair enough.
True.
Knuckles tries to explain all this, of course, but his words fall on deaf ears. I'm pretty sure the first thing you should have gone with was an apology, buddy.
I mean, it's not his fault.
I'm just saying, like, if you want to take the...
I get it, yeah.
You want to take the best course of action.
Yeah.
But, Kohani doesn't care. He's like, I'm going to crush you in my bone cage.
Yeah, now that you've recovered.
Yeah. But, Knuckles digs out, of course, because we didn't put...
Because he's Knuckles.
Because rib cages are not rings, and he scrambles around, basically. He's trying to, he tries to punch Gonyu, but he's a ghost, and so he's like, well, can I get an emerald? No, I can't, because there's too many skeletons here. I need to get this emerald. No, I still can't do that either.
I do that for a little bit.
But he does eventually end up at the Soul Crystal!
Yeah, and Kohenyu immediately informs them that that's what it is. Very, very smart.
Yes, this animates the bones of the dinosaurs and the ghost head. So, obviously you want to tell the guy you're trying to kill that.
Yeah, it's like,
And Knuckles, well, he uses that situation to the best of his advantage because he offers him an ultimatum. Call off the skeletons or I smash the shit out of your crystal. I will destroy your species beyond death.
And the guy's just like, no.
My skeletons are too fast for you, traveler. Except not really, because they knock Knuckles away for a second, and then he's like, well, I shouldn't hesitate, now I should smash it. So it's like, that didn't even do much.
This is a really weird situation, because he's like, I'm gonna smash it. Oh no, okay, I guess he actually does destroy all the skeletons, which is weird. Because it seemed like there were too many of them and they could just reform. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah,
it's like he smashes them up. He's like, this is what I get for hesitating. Now I'm going to do it. And then he hesitates anyway.
Yeah.
It's not that that's wrong, though, because, he kind of sympathizes with these guys. His entire race is not here, which is basically the same as being dead.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually want to kill anybody. He's like, can I just get my rock and go? And Kohenyu finally, after that, is like, well, you could have killed me but didn't, so I guess I'll let you leave with this big rock. And I don't know, it's fine. I guess this is an okay story. I think that it at least plays into the idea of echidnas maybe not dying because of their own hubris, but the hubris of the echidnas being a relevant factor since that's such a big part of the games. And, that's always been a crossroads that I think makes sense for Knuckles is, having the option to do the same thing as ancestors did, but also cause the same kind of destruction they did, and being like, no, I don't want to do that. But what an odd way to present it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of odd, or, I don't know what you want to call this, what is this next story?
Just a random, silly story?
Indeed.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way.
This is Odor Zone, Mark Miller and Mike Hadley. Okay, here's one thing that I did learn, actually. This will be important, is that all of Mark Miller's stories for this comic were written before the first story even came out.
Oh, interesting.
So...
It's kind of impressive to have such a backlog of stories, though.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
If only they were a little bit better. But that's why some of them feel really weird. We're gonna get to one in here that doesn't feel like it matches up with the timeline at all.
Looking forward to that, and hopefully how they scramble to cover it.
Yeah, but as far as this one goes, Sonic attacks a Robotnik base after learning the leader of the underground Odor Zone was captured. It's a skunk man, and Sonic says it smells like the work of Robotnik. I don't want to hear about skunk stink.
Oh well, you'll get to see a lot more skunks.
For some reason, Sonic makes a comment after seeing all the like down trees about, oh, Porker must have jogged through here. Like,
what the fuck does that
I don't
mean?
get it. Yeah.
This is very
Is
interesting.
he calling him a fat ass? What?
I guess so. So this is a very interesting take from British comics. The skunks are all French.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's a very interesting take from a British comic.
Yeah, they all have French accents. Is that like the French are smelly? Yeah, this skunk child is like, yes, our leader Marcel was captured because he was trying to sabotage Robotnik, and so he's been badnicked. And Sonic's like, oh, well, I'll go save him. And yeah, we go to somewhere, I guess it's a Robotnik base, and good God, he's gigantic.
Yeah, he's huge. Holy crap.
It was hard to tell on the first page, but you can see that, no, the skunk himself is really that big. You can see that the robots shooting at him on this page are tiny.
Uh-huh. It's insane.
Why is this man 30 feet tall?
I don't know. I mean, it just is.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is. It's kind of the case. He just is.
And now he's a big ugly robot, and he shoots lasers at Sonic. Sonic dodges. He loops around, builds up momentum for big strike. Directly through his neck? Look at that. He goes up through his head. That should kill him, shouldn't it?
Don't worry about it.
Where's the dude?
This isn't like
shrunk.
robotization. It
because generally they're like
they're
shoved inside the body.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know it's a shell that is not necessarily one-to-one with the anatomy, but the sizing means that his head has to be where his head is, right?
Only if they're really the same height. We
right,
don't exactly
maybe the robot's
get,
even taller.
Yeah, we don't get like rulers here or anything to measure with. So it's hard to tell exactly. The robot could just be that much bigger.
Yeah, I mean...
I honestly, that's probably the case.
Evidently, yes, he is shown lying next to Sonic perfectly fine on this page. There's something really off-putting about a dude that big just being a natural feature of this world. Especially since he still has one of those animal with a very humanoid anatomy looks to him. Except
for some reason I didn't question it, because I'm just used to comic weirdness, and this is like pedestrian weirdness.
I feel like, for me at least, part of the problem is the bow tie. I hate to say he shouldn't be wearing anything, because that sounds weird.
Well, he's the only one in this comic who's not wearing clothes besides Sonic and Tails, I suppose.
Yeah.
All of the other animal dudes and skunks, have that sort of humanoid proportion, but don't look like that. But then he's also wearing a bow tie, which is... It's sort of like you look more naked wearing only shoes than nothing at all.
Yeah.
Very strange. Anyway, the day is saved.
My only question, this comic has nothing to do with that, but has to do with the fact that for some reason Robotnik has a different Eggmobile design here. It's like red and it has claw arms.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't know anything about anything. This is weird short whatever story. Could have been grosser, I guess. I was expecting a little bit more weird, gross skunk jokes, but we didn't. So let's not dwell on that and move forward. Hey, look, it's Brutus. We got plot.
Oh, good,
Finally.
finally.
Brute Force, Lou Stringer and Carl Flint. Brutus begins his rebellion against Dr. Robotnik using a special brain scanner to add to his knowledge and power, and the perfect freedom fighter to test it on.
Revealing a lot of stuff right there off the bat. But point is, yes, Brutus is making moves. Yeah, so right in the middle of the action. But this is a Sonic's World story, which means Sonic doesn't feature in it at all. I don't think, actually, not this time.
I don't think so.
Which is kind of neat, because this is like a plot relevant story to like the main comics, and yet it is not a main comic story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all published in the same magazine, so you can still put them there. But yes,
I just don't think we've seen something like this before.
Not on this scale, certainly. So yeah, Brutus is here, capturing dudes for the Empire. He splits his group into one for the shuttle to Metropolis, and another to come with him. And one of his troopers is like, why did you do that? And he's like, shut up, and he kills him.
Very
So,
Adventures in Sonic-esque way of handling Badnik loyalty here. But yes, dude's making moves.
it's all part of a big ruse because, well, he did get some guys for the Empire, but he also set some dudes aside for his Empire. And we also see that, like, we cut back to Robotnik with him after this, and apparently he's Robotnik's second in command now, which is weird because he proved terrible at following orders last time.
Yeah, that doesn't completely follow. It's true. He was already second in command, I think, from the get-go, but should have been like demoted or something.
I guess I don't know who would have been second, because like I always thought of Grimer as the second in command because he's the head scientist, but I guess that's not necessarily a true thing.
I always thought Grimer was like bottom of the barrel, to be honest. I didn't think Grimer had any actual command. He just built stuff.
I mean, I guess the organization of the Robotnik Empire in these comics is very unclear. I don't know where Nuts and Bolt ranked.
I have to assume, for the sake of comprehension, that there's some amount of time skip between the previous Brutus story and this one.
Well, we know there was at least a month for Little Planet to leave and come back.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So you could easily assume. So, and the
Maybe
way
he did better
is
since
acting,
then.
I think he's just done better since then. Yeah.
But speaking of Dr.
Especially since Robotnik is like, I expected you to capture more than you did, which only makes sense if you had high expectations.
Yeah. Speaking of Dr. Grimer, he's actually working on something for Brutus, a portable brain scanner to siphon information from freedom fighters and civilians. Or indeed, from Dr. Grimer. Because
this
Brutus...
frame of him working on the brain scanner with the huge eye through the lens looks ridiculous. I love it.
It's awesome. And yes, Brutus does indeed. He stuns the bastard and uses the scanner on him to boost his own intelligence.
Okay, so I didn't notice it at first, but I don't know. Did you guys notice there's something a little strange about this move? He's like, yes, now that I share the same knowledge as Grimer, I can build an army of my own badniks. But he already had Robotnik's brainwaves. What does this mean? This comic has been like dumping on Robotnik's engineering skills a lot lately.
Really heavily implying that
Robotnik just doesn't do any work.
Yeah.
That aside, this is an interesting development and a smart move on Brutus's part, I have to say.
Yeah, this is what the second group of prisoners was for. Yeah, he goes back there. I really like the casual attitude on the prisoners when he's like, I set you aside. You're not, Robotnik's not going to be turning you into badniks. And they're like, so we're not going to be turned into badniks? He says, no, you're just going to be my badniks. And the dude's like, oh, well, it was a nice thought while it lasted.
What? Really? No. I just thought you would enjoy that for a moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you've been under rule for so long, you just kind of eventually roll with the punches more. I mean, being turned into a badnik isn't the end of the world in these comics either. So I'd like to point out that Brutus is based in the Misery Zone, which is a bit of a throwback. It makes sense to take a completely ravaged zone as your hidden base, I suppose.
Sure, yeah.
Is that the place where the one monster exploded?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Good little bit of connectivity. And yeah, I guess if it exploded and there's nothing there, then it's a perfect hiding spot.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because Robotnik learns that Brutus has been operating behind his back at the same time that Brutus is learning where the freedom fighters are. So he's going to set out to try and steal some info. And check out the Brutus badniks. What the hell are these designs?
I love them.
I love the giant mouth with 3 eyes.
They could have just done regular badniks, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. But no, they decided, he gets weird badniks.
They don't even really look like robots, if I'm honest. They look like Monsters, Inc.
Oh, yeah, Monsters, Inc., yeah.
So I have to assume that this is based on, completely on Grimer's knowledge, because Robotnik knows nothing about engineering. So I guess, Grimer made Metamorphia, remember? So,
it's true.
He's got weird design tastes, I guess.
Oh, he bioengineered the material for the badniks. Maybe that's what it is that Grimer's knowledge creates different kinds of badniks than Robotnik's could.
Yeah, so now
different kinds and better ones, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because Grimer made Metallix and Metamorphia, and Robotnik just makes easily destroyed Badniks. Although he did make... No, Grimer even made Brutus. So, no, he just got a way better track record.
They collaborated on Brutus, didn't they?
I think they
might have collaborated. I'm not sure.
In any case, yeah, so Brutus is setting out for not just the Freedom Fighters location, it's specifically Johnny. And that's good. This is essentially a Johnny story, which we have not had. Johnny has just been basically muscle in fights up to this point.
Before Johnny gets thrown into action, there's this really funny little bit when he's talking with a sheep at a factory that is talking about, oh, Robotnik has enslaved us to use our own wool to make him like socks, which is just such a devious and odd brand play, honestly.
That's great Saturday morning cartoon Robotnik evil, yeah. Which is impressive that that's just the purpose of this place, because this place is already called Cotton Factory Zone. It just got a change of management, I guess. 6 out of 10 zone name, by the way.
A lot of the zone names are terrible in this comic.
Yeah.
But yes, the Brutus Badniks appear, and it's time for Johnny to fight. I'm not sure how exactly his staff works, since this seems to telescopically extend from being compact on his back before. But it's also flexible enough for him to vault off of to smash the bots.
It's not impossible, I guess.
Unobtainium.
It's meant to be cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's rule of cool.
But evidently Johnny is here completely alone. Not sure exactly why, but he is struggling without any backup.
Everyone else is busy right now.
I guess.
That's outright stated.
Okay. So he makes for the factory with an idea on how to solve the Badnik and slave labor problems at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that leading the Badniks to an area with populated with civilians is the best move, but he's like, oh, sheep guys, get out of here. We need the bad aim of these Badniks to destroy the factory.
Yeah, this plan only works in a comic with cartoon logic, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is pretty risky.
Yeah, this is, you get a lot of people dead as collateral damage kind of plan. But we're not done yet, because even though the factory is destroyed, are the Badniks destroyed by this too? They kind of just stop being a thing after this.
When the factory explodes, it destroys them too, I think.
Yeah.
I guess, but they're shooting at it, so whatever. Brutus is here, though. We're not done yet. Brutus is here. And he's like, oh, I'll use the brain scanner on you. And that actually is a pretty big issue, because Johnny has 2 big bits of knowledge, that the heroes are disguised as Beaky's circus caravan, and that the Emerald Hill people are hidden on Angel Island.
Yeah, we end this part on a pretty dire note, actually. You get this shot of Brutus standing before crackling lightning, being like, yes, I know where they all are. I'll destroy all the rebels and cement myself as the new tyrant of Mobius, basically.
So aggressively, cartoonishly evil.
I love it.
It's great.
It is wonderful.
He shouts that, and the troops hear him, which we're going to get into the dissemination of this information, but,
Yeah, so it seemed to be a plot point that he wanted Badniks that were loyal to him, but, his troopers blindly follow him, so...
Well, and what ends up happening, right, is that they're like, alright, well, order an attack on the base, and then they're like, yes, sure, order an attack on Angel Island. And it's like, oh no, that's a big problem. And then they say, alright, we're ready to attack. And then he, has a headache, and then he shoots them. So what it actually ends up being is that when he absorbed Johnny's brain patterns, he got a copy of the rebellious spirit, too, and he can't stop it.
Yeah, so I knew this would happen. This was obviously what was going to happen.
Yeah.
The thing for me that is weird about that is that, what does that mean about the other brain patterns he's absorbed up to this point? Because would absorbing Dr. Grimer's brain patterns make him more subservient?
Good question.
Maybe
it's
I didn't
just
really think too hard about that.
Maybe it's just that the fighting spirit is overpowering, but it's also, I don't know, it feels kind of lame, because it feels like there should have been an easy way around this. As soon as you get the information, just record it somewhere. Or indeed, record it before you do the thing that he does next, which is, after destroying all of his troopers, he erases the thing from his brain.
I get how you feel, but I guess just the fact that I didn't see it go this way at all just made me not be annoyed by it, because I totally expected, oh yeah, he's gonna copy the brain patterns of a rebel, and then it'll obviously make him. I thought he was just gonna like turn good or something, but no, the conflicted sort of mindset, that was interesting. I didn't expect it to manifest that way, and then to have to erase the information. I mean, I assumed that he was like, oh shoot, I might lose control of myself. I just got to erase it now. I think that's a really clever way of solving the whole, oh, we've found the hero's hideout.
I suppose if it sends him into a panic, then yeah, fair enough. So yeah, he does that, and then he runs away with his tail between his legs, essentially. So I think it's just that this was a really interesting idea for a story. I wish that it amounted to either a little more for Brutus or a little more for Johnny, because it's ultimately not progressing anything.
Brutus has... Yeah, he's got Badnik still. It didn't destroy all of them. You can see them at the end. And he's gone completely off the map, as we will see mentioned in a later story, actually.
That's true, actually.
He's separate from Robotnik now.
Because Robotnik knows that he's a traitor now, so you're right, fair enough. I still wish we got more for Johnny, because he's sort of the one that we know least about out of all Sonic's friends.
Johnny got some cool action. I mean, Brutus just yoinked him at the end, which was a little annoying that he couldn't unyoink himself, but...
Yeah. I think it's just that, like, Porker Lewis, like, has interiority, he has flaws. Johnny is just kind of... He's a nice dude. He's fine.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
I don't know. But that's that story, and, you know, we always gotta have one of these. It's a Tails story, and it's set in the Nameless Zone.
Oh, boy.
This is Tails, The Revenge of Trogg, written and drawn by Nigel Kitching. But there is one upside, because the plot to this is that Knuckles accidentally chases Tails into the Nameless Zone, and finds himself embroiled on a fantasy quest to save the Enchanter Kings from the evil Trogg.
It actually is called Knuckles and Tails, The Revenge of Trogg. Here at the top, we've got logos for both of them.
So Knuckles is fixing up the Emerald Chamber, like he planned to before. And, he detects a massive energy surge in Mushroom Hill, and it's Tails heading for the Nameless Zone, which would be perfectly explainable if Tails was not constantly hiding this from people. So, consequences of your actions, motherfucker.
Yeah, it doesn't quite play out the most ideal way possible, but I didn't get my hopes up too high, luckily. At the very least, it does cause some trouble. I do like seeing the absurd situation from an outsider's view. It is very funny how in the first frame here, as Tails is entering the portal, the shaman is drawn in a super menacing way for some reason. Just because that's how Knuckles would see it, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And, wow, Tails has been completely absent from the main stories for a while. Like, he was in maybe that friggin' skunk story that was written before all that anyway. So... yeah, Knuckles tackles the shaman, beckoning Tails to Nameless, and ends up there himself. And they also say Tails' full name, and Knuckles is like, who the hell is Miles Prower?
Yeah, he doesn't quite go full on, like, this is all ridiculous. He actually pretty quickly catches on to everyone is just crazy, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But initially, yeah.
This is a interesting turn for Knuckles, because Shaman Warple here... Tails tries to explain to Knuckles his friend, but Shaman Warple cuts him off, assuming that he's Sonic, and it's like, oh god, are we going to pile a Knuckles is Sonic lie on top of the existing Tails is the real hero lie?
Oh boy. Sort of, yeah.
Sort of, yes, but it's funny because Knuckles is just along for the ride. He is completely happy to play along with this.
Honestly, like, this isn't, like I said, the best possible way they could have brought Knuckles into this, but I do like that he is like, this is just insane, whatever, I'm just gonna roll with it, because at the very least, unlike Tails, he's not gonna be like super dejected and be like, oh no, he's gonna do what he does best.
Yeah, Knuckles leading a Tails story is much better than Tails leading a Tails story.
Yeah.
Anyway, Trogg is up to his fucking shit again. He captured the Enchanter Kings, and when they sent Errol to go save them, he was mutated into this demonic, ugly rat man with a sword.
Yeah, I didn't expect like more of the foxes to be transformed, but that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Yes. And wow, maybe Tails really is the only one who can get anything done around here.
Oh, of course. That's by dumb luck.
Yeah.
No, he's the only one that can. No one else can.
And in case you couldn't tell now, Errol is evil right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He attacks Tails and is, super scary. Tails is trying to fly around and stay away from him, but Knuckles doesn't care about following the Tails comic script and just punches him.
I love it.
It's good. And they keep calling him Sonic throughout all this. In case there weren't enough people in real life who think that Knuckles is related to Sonic. Knuckles does not care about following the conventions, and I love that. And they put Errol in the stocks, because we have to figure out what to do about Trogg first. And, there's Knuckles playing along, and then there's straight up, he comes up with a plan, and then lies and says it's Tails' plan.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost love for this to be like Knuckles deliberately teasing Tails, like, hey, I'll make your whole thing here much worse.
I mean, that would be malicious. He just...
No, I mean, I'm being facetious, because he says he doesn't want to embarrass Tails.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like it's funny, they've given a lot of canon Sonic's easygoing traits to Knuckles here, whereas Sonic, if they were constantly referring to him as Knuckles in the reverse story, he would be pissed off, Sonic the Comic Sonic would. They've given him a lot of the hard-headed, stubborn traits.
That's true.
But it makes Knuckles very likable in this comic, so we are getting suited up, Tails puts on his tiny armor, and we're heading for Trogg's lair, but not before we're stopped by Girl Tails.
We were so close. We had the underutilized and honestly pretty good pairing of Knuckles and Tails here, and they were just going to go and solve the problems. But no, you must have a representative of the insanity here on the team, because you got to have Moraine, sister of Errol, to come in and look at Sonic in quotes here and start questioning things.
Yes, she is, understandably, admittedly, pissed off about her brother getting TF'd into a monster and wants some bloody revenge on Trogg, but the whole thing is going to be that every time Knuckles and Tails have part of the lie being perpetuated, she's going to be like, what's up with that? We're not going to actually change anything. We're just going to have her go, a lot.
Yep.
And I have to take back my thing about liking Knuckles, because I have to have him underestimate her for being a woman and then snark about her being annoyed because it's a fucking 90s comic book. Let's just ignore that. Just pretend that's not there. Just, wipe that out in MS Paint.
I actually completely brushed over it because it's just a time period thing. I didn't even think about it.
Exactly. Let's fight a Goblin Horde instead. It's a one-page Goblin Horde fight. They do that and then they do something else. We get to see Trogg's lair during this fight, and what? That's Trogg? He looks completely different.
That's Trogg now.
Yeah,
he's
drawn very differently here. It's gigantic, actually.
Well, it's like
he is really big.
He's bigger, he's buffer, he has more expressive eyes and crazier expressions. He basically looks... He's purple now. He basically looks the same as transformed Errol, but he has way more hair.
Yeah, I noticed that. I wonder if there's... Well, I wonder if there's a connection.
I think this is just how Kitching chose to draw him. I mean, they are both... We already knew that they were both transformed foxes. That's not a new information, so... But he's planning to summon the Dark One to transform the other two Enchanter Kings the same way he was.
Yeah, so I assume the Dark One is the evil one, and they just changed the name for some reason?
Yeah, I guess stuff like that changes, We went from the Void to the Zone of Silence. It's whatever, it's terminology.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fighting. Maureen keeps noticing that Knuckles is too strong to be Tails' sidekick, blah, 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 blah. We don't have time to think about that before an assload more monsters show up, and it's too many for them to fight. So we surrender, we get taken to Trogg's chamber, and that's basically what we wanted anyway, so I don't even know what we were bothering. Maybe it gets the upper hand if they take away your weapons, so fair enough. But Trogg himself is absolutely over the moon, overjoyed at getting to do all the nasty shit he wants with Tails watching, because he beat him twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he beat him once and ran away a second time. He's also happy to gloat over Moraine because it's like, hey, I fucked up your brother. Look at this. This is my voice now. This is the voice I've given to Trogg.
So this next bit is kind of a bit of whiplash because we've got like allusion to the Dark One before because like they're the reason that all this whole mess started because for some reason I can't remember Trogg's name. Shirob found them and they transformed them and they're like, I must call upon the Dark One now, one whose name must never be spoken. And ominous, the moonbeam comes down, and suddenly a figure pops out of the orb. And the way they are drawn is ridiculous.
He's like a pointy satanic goat man?
Yeah, it's the devil, but he's like not scary at all.
Part of it is Kitching's art style, right? Because he draws the Sonic style characters relatively decently modeled. All of his other stuff is got this sort of flat sort of pop art look to it. So the angular design for this, it's like you'd expect it to be like some sort of eldritch horror, but it's just kind of a mean guy.
Yeah, just green smoke.
Yeah.
The design may be intentional because they're also just kind of a mean guy in the way that they act through this whole story.
Yeah, it's like you expect his corrupting influence to be a big thing, but he may as well just be a cartoon, mustache swirler.
Yep.
Yeah.
But his presence does draw a lot of attention, so much so that the heroes can sneak behind his back to free the Enchanter Kings.
Yeah, it's that easy. Okay, it's not quite that easy.
It's almost that easy.
They almost succeed.
Well, they do free them, it's just that Trogg notices.
That's what I'm saying.
He invokes the power of the Dark One and makes the Dark One put them in magic stasis. It's really weird because it seems like he's invoking his power, but it seems like he's following his orders. I don't know. I guess if you summon a demon, it doesn't make you more powerful than the demon, even if the demon has to do what you say.
Right.
That's true.
But the transformation begins. Their faces start contorting to resemble that of Trogg. But apparently, Dark One has limited RAM, because this uses enough of his energy that he can't actually keep the heroes frozen in place during this.
Yep.
It's not a very impressive demon, I'm gonna be honest. And it's really weird, not. Because they say, like, oh, the transformation is complete, but they don't look like Trogg or Errol. They just look like themselves with beaks.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, blah. And they're like, well, now it's so evil, it's great that we did this, or whatever. Anyway, the heroes escaped with your crystal ball, asshole.
So, it looks like the Dark One is attached to this, but he just suddenly becomes not attached to it after they grab it.
It's weird, because, like, he's coming out of the crystal ball the whole time. I assume that he's, like, refracted light from the moonbeam or whatever. And the whole time that he's on screen, he has, this long tail that goes off screen in every shot. And later, when they're running out of there, Knuckles is like, oh, this is a conduit for his power or whatever. But then when the Dark One gets there, his tail is just going off to the background and not to the crystal ball?
Yeah, and I think it's Knuckles is like, oh, this orb must be used to control the Dark One. But they seem to still be following Trogg around even though he doesn't have the orb.
And they also say, like, oh, bringing it out of the Land Beyond's range will make him powerless. Why? I guess it has different rules. But, we're catching up right at... It's the place where this all began. It's the dimensional bridge between Nameless and Beyond. It wasn't just any bridge, it's a dimensional bridge.
That's important. It's important because in this comic, if you try to leave the space between dimensions, you know what happens? You're just erased from existence, apparently.
Yeah,
I kind of get it. If you're not in a dimension, you don't exist, but...
Well, but the bridge isn't in a dimension. Between dimensions.
I assume that a bridge between dimensions is, kind of gray area.
I guess maybe it's some weird magic nonsense that prevents that.
Because if the bridge were between dimensions were not a dimension, then you wouldn't be able to walk on it.
I guess what I'm getting at here is that the Dark One and Trogg show up, and Knuckles is like, just toss the orb away. And then Moraine is like, oh yeah, well, okay, great. Now it'll just unexist. Like, it's extremely convenient. And they didn't even do it on purpose, which I don't know why I'm surprised. This is a Tales Nameless Zone comic.
Yeah, I don't know. Tails jucks the ball down the cliffside, and the Dark One goes with it, and now he'll never exist again, maybe? I don't know.
They explicitly say that it destroys him, which doesn't make any sense, because it seemed more like it summoned him than destroyed him. Or more like it summoned him than that he didn't actually... It's like when you summon a demon, and they're...
It didn't seem like he was tied to the ball.
Yeah, okay, that's what I mean. Because he explicitly wasn't tied to it, and then he just has to follow it down there for some reason.
Well, and it's like, he existed outside of this realm before now, and I thought that, the ball was his link to the world, not it was him. Anyway, Trogg gets really mad about this and jumps at the heroes. Tails calls Knuckles by name, which means that Moraine's going to get suspicious, blah, blah, blah. Knuckles, however, is still very strong, and he punches Trogg into the rope on the bridge, which breaks. It's cinematic parallels to that first story.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He is allegedly sent spiraling into the abyss. That bitch is dead, allegedly.
Yep.
Allegedly, yeah.
We win! Exclamation points. Everyone arrives home. Knuckles is thanked as Sonic, and Moraine is reunited with her brother, who is now free from the Dark One's magic due to him not existing. Just kidding, Trogg's back! I can't believe we didn't see that coming. Were you guys surprised?
It's literally happened before, where he got tossed off the bridge, and he survived, so, yeah.
Because he hung on to a rope. He caught the rope, and nobody really thought to look and just make sure he was gone for good.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, actually. That doesn't make any sense this time, because it was pretty obvious the first time.
Kids, don't turn your back on the body. But it doesn't actually matter, because Trogg does not actually make it very long, because the Dark One's magic no longer affects him either.
Just conveniently took long enough for us to have a fight first.
I can believe that it would take longer for him because he had been Trogg for a really long time, whereas Errol was only transformed for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'm
yes.
just saying the fact that there's a fight, he's supposedly dead. He's actually not dead. He shows up. Oh, actually, there's no threat. Like, it was just a total fake out at the end.
Yeah, but he's back to being Shirab for good? For good? I don't know. I don't know if there's more Nameless Zone stories.
Hope not.
So, yeah, the third Enchanter King's back. That means we don't need Tails here anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Tails and Knuckles head home. Moraine never gets her answer on why Tails called Sonic by a different name. And, all things considered, this might be the best Nameless Zone story.
I mean, that's not
easily.
It is, but that's not a very high bar to clear.
It's not a competitive field. The addition of Knuckles makes a lot of things better, apparently.
True.
But, Tails obviously has not gotten a lot of chance to shine. He's not gotten a chance to be responsible and have, unambiguous wins on his own merits in these comics. So let's move on here to another Tails story. This is Fox on the Run, Lou Stringer and Carl Flint. After some routine badnik bashing, Tails finds himself in the awkward care of the world's most annoying child, while a dangerous bounty hunter pursues them both.
Isn't Tails like 8?
He's mature for his age. And also, a lot of time has apparently passed since the start of this comic. Like, more than you'd think.
You could be like 12.
Really? Is there actual confirmation of the time frame later?
At the time of this recording, I've taken some notes on some of the Dracon Empire stuff, and Sonic mentions an early issue of this story as having happened many years prior, so...
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Alright, so at the start of the story here is pretty much just routine, as you said, badnik bashing.
Yes.
But I would like to point out that this story contrasts sharply with the Nameless Zone tales, because he's like, wow, this would be easier if Sonic was around, but I'm going to still fight them. And he does. Like, he wants confidence, but it doesn't stop him from taking action.
Yes, It's very strange, because most of the Tales stories up to this point, not the last one was Kitching, but most of them up to this point have been Stringer stories, and he did this one too, but he completely changed direction on how he wrote Tales. We're here in Spring Flower Zone. I'll give that a 7 out of 10 name. And, yeah, Tails is making a name for himself, actually properly fighting. So all of the annoying child traits have to be shifted onto this kid. Out of one robot pops Tristram, this shitty little mouse who is so annoying that everyone nicknamed him Tantrum.
Oh, I didn't even catch what his actual name was. I just read it. I just kept calling him Tantrum in my notes.
They only call him that like twice. He has permanent angry eyebrows and is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
He lives in Metropolis Zone and demands an escort there from Tails. So this would be a dangerous pain in the ass on the face of it, but we've also got a cyborg cowboy catman showing up to shoot them.
Yep, it's one of these original comic characters that has a lot going on.
This is Fleabite, and that's bite with a Y, a bounty hunter working for Robotnik, and man, talk about a character that would be Fang the Sniper in any other Sonic continuity.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Too bad he's a Chaotix here, so they gotta do a different character instead.
Sort of, yeah. I don't know, maybe, for all I know, Fang will assume this kind of role in the future, but he was left in kind of an ambiguous place after last week.
I wouldn't have batted an eye if it was Fang.
Yeah, but he's got a big scary gun with a it's closed off and has a pointy bit on the end. What does that mean? How does that work?
It's a laser gun.
Oh, it's a laser gun. I should fucking kill myself for being that stupid. Anyway.
He has a regular, like, revolver he pulls out, but it jams or something, and he bitches about it being secondhand.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that must have been what I got mixed up by, is that he pulls out the revolver, it jams, then he pulls out the laser pistol. Yeah, so that gives Tails and Tantrum time to escape, but Tantrum sucks, and he falls in a hole, so Tails has to chase him down there.
Yeah, it's really weird. Fleabite is like, you may have tails, but you wouldn't be stupid enough to jump down there. Like, why not? Like, he can just fly down to safety.
Yeah, but does everyone know he can fly?
Fleabite does. He literally says you can fly right in this
Oh, yeah. Scene. I don't know. Fair
now,
enough.
That being said, Fleabite is stupid. We will see this.
Oh, yes.
But yes, Tails goes down there, and Tantrum screams and cries so loud because Tails was 0.2% of a femtosecond too slow to get down here. And he literally screams so loud a fucking cave-in happens.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this character, because he's annoying on purpose, but he's still annoying. And so I'm like, well, the writers wanted me to feel this way. So I'm like, was there some intention behind it? I don't think so.
He is meant to create sympathy for Tails, and it does make me wonder, like, is this the writer's, like, impression of how people thought Tails was in these comics?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is later there's a line where Tails is like, oh, is this how Sonic feels about me? Which, yes, but it's not your fault.
It's because Sonic is a prick.
Yeah. Fleabite doesn't chase them down there anyway, though, because he tries to track them, but clicks on a YouTube ad for laundry detergent by mistake.
Oops.
And frankly, he doesn't need to chase them. There's plenty of lava and badniks down here to cause problems for us anyway.
So Tails ties up this, what is it, a crawlton, and then kicks it into lava, which I sure hope that didn't have an animal inside.
Yeah, I hope there wasn't a guy in there. He fights while Tantrum runs away and almost falls in himself. Tails tries to airlift him out, but he fails because heat exhaustion, because we're in lava room.
I mean, I thought they were just being game accurate, and he can only fly for a little bit, and he just was too far from the ledge.
Oh, he didn't land and restart flying, yeah.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, dying in lava is not actually useful to the Eggman Empire, so these two grabber badniks scoop them up before they die. Or at least, that's what it looks like, except they talk about wrapping them up in web and eating them? You're robots.
What? It makes no sense. Yeah. It's like when Scratch and Grounder roasted hot dogs, and it was just like, huh? What's going on?
But at least in Adventures of Sonic, there is plenty of precedent for robots eating stuff. That's just fully consistent in that show.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I saw it, though.
But it doesn't matter, because they end up arguing like an old married couple while Tails and Tantrum escape. And yeah, this is the part where Tails says, is this how I sound to Sonic? Because Tantrum is insufferable. And yeah, Tails has not been the most capable in the series, but talk about an overcorrection. They're putting this kid through hell.
Yeah, okay, I guess there are a few times, actually a number of times. I guess I'm just forgetting that this comic actually makes Tails an idiot
He has been whiny and he has been foolish. He's still not like this.
No. Yeah, he's not like this, but he does get in the way. That's the thing. They should have made it a more accurate mirror, I guess.
Yeah. So, Tails and Tantrum try to climb out a vertical tube, but it ends up being a trap that tries to close in on them, with Tails' flight just barely keeping them from being crushed to death.
It is very impressive that they can scale surfaces like that. Like, that's... I guess there are a lot of easy handholds. It's kind of the way it looks, but very sharp.
I mean, real foxes have claws, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But Fleabite is waiting for them up top, and Tails, this time, attempts to reason with him, based on the whole Eggman very rarely honors a deal thing.
Okay, so in most continuity, that would be accurate, but in this continuity, he has like a 50% chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, Fleabite is too dumb to get with the program, and also too dumb to tie up Tails' tails. On the next part, which the scan quality drops massively for, he flies up into the sky with Bite just barely hanging on the rope on his hands, and so he takes a shot at Tails, but just shoots the rope itself. And I honestly weren't sure if they were just gonna kill him with how high in the sky they are. But apparently, cats always land on their feet means they're immune to fall damage, too.
That's true. I mean, in real life, you could drop a cat from any distance and it'll be fine.
Well, I mean, no, obviously. But I have seen a cat jump from the top of a telephone pole and land on its feet and then walk away after that.
No, yeah, it's not any distance, but...
They can drop from fairly high, though.
Yeah. I don't remember if we mentioned in the comic where Sally falls and dies that squirrels and chipmunks can survive falls from terminal velocity. In any case, Fleabite takes Tantrum hostage, but it's okay. Tails just tells him to scream and cause an avalanche again.
That works.
It does. It defeats him, and we finally return the kid to his mother, and may we never fucking see him again.
Thank God, I hope so.
And
it is nice to see Tails being the hero, though, instead of lying about it.
And you know what? For the most part, after this, Tails stories will feature Tails in a position where he can actually do stuff. He is not, for the most part, going to be winning by accident from here on out. At least as far as I've read.
That is nice.
That would be good, yeah.
So, I guess this was a good story in some ways? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it was a bad story.
It was better than I'm used to from Tails stories.
That's definitely true.
But we've still got some Sonic left before the end of the day. Not a lot, but some. Starting off here with Spinball Wizard, Mark Miller and Keith Page, and this is the one I was talking about. Upset at his lack of fan mail, Tails goes off to prove his worth to the world, but he gets caught up in Dr. Robotnik's Spinball murder machine. Can Sonic save him? This doesn't make any sense. Whose house is this that we're in? And why are we back to Tails being a loser? Why are we back to this idiom of Sonic and Robotnik?
This has got to be some kind of older story.
It is. Yeah. All of the Mark Miller stories were written before.
Oh yeah, Mark Miller, yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, how the heck can you be receiving fan mail? I mean, that doesn't make sense really at any point in time.
Well, so my brain immediately went to being like, oh god, this must be real life fan mail.
Right, it would be if this was Archie.
Yeah, true.
The Archie bonus awards show stories and stuff like that. Yeah. Also, Tails is brown in this story. He's shapeshifted into SatAM Adventures Tails, maybe.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I don't know who delivers this mail. I don't know how they know Sonic is the one they're getting it to. I thought we were supposed to be undercover.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Tails is like, I'll prove my worth by beating a bunch of robots in Casino Night, which Tails should be able to handle with precedent at this point. But nope. Robotnik's
it is very funny that Tails is just like, maybe if I did something brave and dangerous, people would like me too. And Sonic is like, trouble's brewing. Like, he's being genre savvy this time.
Yeah. Robotnik is on this giant pinball table, and this is
boy, Sonic Spinball.
They call it the Spinball Murder Machine, which I think is just a wonderful name.
It is. It's way more blatant than I would expect.
Yeah, there's no Veggie Fortress, there's no Mount Mobius, it's the murder machine. Feels so clean, like a murder machine. Sonic arrives to save Tails and has to brave the machine himself, and he actually struggles. Pinball proves too much for this version of Sonic.
Yeah.
There is this pink bird that alerts him first that Tails is in trouble, and this pink bird is like he must really be a big fan of Sonic because he takes every opportunity to be mean to Tails. Because the first time when Tails is like, maybe I should go to Casino Night Zone to prove myself, he's like, yeah, you'll just get a few broken bones, you dweeb. And then when he's reporting to Tails, he's like, yeah, that dumb fox walked right into Casino Night Zone and got himself captured. Like, usually it's just Sonic being rude, but no, this guy, big fan.
Tails is the eternal punching bag. I know you didn't call him dumbfuck just now, but it almost sounded like you did. It's like, wow, that's a really hardcore insult for this comic. But yes, Sonic is struggling in the machine, prompting Tails to break free and ride the deadly pinball, which they call the Spinball, even though Sonic is the Spinball.
There is an amazing shot of Robotnik on the screen at the bottom left corner of one of these pages where it's at a really weird angle. And
you like the wide angle lens, yeah.
Yeah.
But Tails kicks the pinball into the machine's generator and it explodes. So the day is saved?
Yeah, he proved himself in the end.
Yeah, and you can tell because he finally gets a letter, except it's just for an overdue library book, and then Sonic mugs the camera. And yeah, this was such a strange, bank story being used as filler, just like Archie intended. That was why I looked up and discovered that all of Mark Millar's contributions were before the comic started.
Fascinating.
Which means hopefully there won't be too many more of them, because this was very silly and kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Knuckles, new Master Emerald, Kitching and Dobbin. While placing the substitute Master Emerald, Knuckles discovers that Dr. Zachary's robot still has some functions. Also, I guess he had to cut it into the right shape to work correctly, the new Master Emerald.
Yeah, but, I really like that we're getting a consistent plot thread with Knuckles. I always like that.
Yeah, that's nice to see.
Yeah, we're getting the play-by-plays, and we're really having the comic feel more like a proper narrative. It was very, very disconnected at the start. It was just like, here's the story set in this zone, here's the story with the ice guy, here's the other thing. So he's ready to begin the transfer and remove the head by getting all the power back, but it fires a laser at him, I guess because it knows it's trying to take the energy. And it's really weird, because Knuckles drills through the ground for a better angle of attack, and gets on top of it, but then falls on the floor right in front of it, but then it doesn't shoot him because it's too low on power, and now it speaks out loud to let Knuckles know that?
Yeah, I guess it's, how sentient is this thing?
Well, I'm not sure. Weird because it's just like energy level 6% too low to generate power beam. Yeah. But Knuckles responds to this being like, what? You're a conscious being? I never knew. But that sounds like a very robotic thing to say.
It does, but Knuckles' comment...
Yeah, I don't think that my earbuds are sentient when they tell me, battery low. What do you mean? But Knuckles wants answers, so he unplugs it, and it says that the energy drain has removed Zachary's interference.
Doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Well, so I understand that Zachary modified this thing to work for him. That much is obvious. I don't understand why losing energy makes it... Like, my phone doesn't delete files when it runs low on battery. At least I don't think it does.
No, but hard drives can.
What?
If they don't have power for long enough... Or no, not hard drives. Flash memory can.
So like a brownout?
Yeah. Well, no. So flash memory needs to not have power for long periods of time for memory to start degrading.
All right. Lauren, you were
gonna say? It shouldn't happen that quickly, but maybe Echidna technology, just all the memory is just RAM, and there's a little bit of power that always needs to keep it alive. And so even for a second, it could lose a lot.
You know what? That kind of makes sense when you explain it that way.
Sure, whatever. In any case, the robot can now serve Knuckles, and it's like, oh boy, I can't wait to hear what he tells Knuckles. Oh, the story's over.
Damn.
And the next story isn't about that.
It's just a little bit of intrigue.
The one that is won't be until next week. Yeah.
It's okay.
Fair enough, whatever. Let's finish off tonight with our final story of the night, Mission to the Metropolis Zone, String and Ring Corona. With Brutus missing, Sonic and friends find the perfect time to launch a strike on Robotnik's base. And, Sonic, Amy, and Johnny in Metropolis. Johnny looking like a stretched-out taffy man escorting 2 middle schoolers at this point. In the first issues, Johnny was small enough to fit in Sonic's hands.
Yeah, it's true, he was.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a time skip, and...
There has been a time skip, because Johnny and Porker got a growth spurt, and Sonic and Amy never did.
It's like Kobe from One Piece, where within a few months he goes from like half Luffy's height to taller than him. But we're gonna fight. There's a Badnik strike. We're doing the usual routine. Sonic beating them up, and he says, "Couldn't you bozos give me a challenge and try something unexpected for once?" And so they smack him on the back of the head.
Yeah, and then uncharacteristically, Sonic with like the most dejected expression I've ever seen on his face. It's like, we're outnumbered. Run, Amy.
Escape while you can.
He's so concerned looking.
Amy story?
Kind of.
But yeah, Sonic and Johnny are captured. Amy runs and escapes, and Robotnik is busy steaming about everything that happened with Brutus. Bruno? I can't talk today. But Grimer informs him of the captives. What is going on with Grimer's face? He's got, like, lazy eye going on there.
Yeah,
But Sonic and Johnny are brought to this office, and they basically just say, "Ha, just kidding, we're not in real danger. This was all part of our plan."
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess, but Amy actually goes back, is not running away for her life, but has run back and is deleting weapons info and stealing weapons info, deleting it from their systems.
So, wait a minute. Am I forgetting something? Is Amy a techie in this?
I mean...
He appears to be kind of a techie.
Is this something that any of the other characters could do on their own? Like, is this something they needed specifically Amy to do?
With being told exactly what to do, well, but this seems to be their plan, so they already knew what to do.
Well, it's like they could have just brought Porker along, but no, Amy is here, so that kind of implies that they have skills, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I can tell you this, there is a reason that they wouldn't have Porker along for the ride here, but I can't tell you what it is yet.
Oh.
Alright.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that the level of hacking this employs is relatively universal for freedom fighters. Amy was just the person chosen to do it. Sure. Sonic and Johnny are putting themselves in more direct danger anyway.
Yeah.
With the ironic thing being, of course, that a trooper does come through and finds that Amy is there, so she gets caught for real. But she does manage to get one crucial shot off, though, because she shoots at the delete button on the keyboard.
Pretty good shot.
Yeah. It's a solid shot.
Which, I mean, you could have just shot the... Like, I don't know how the information is stored on this specific computer. If it's part of the server, then sure. But it's like, you could have just shot the tower if it was on a hard drive. But Sonic and Johnny rush in to get rid of the bots, and we're out of here. I don't know if this is actually playing into any major plot lines going forward that they deleted that information.
I guess there's only one way to know. You have to read more.
But that is next time on Deep Dive Zone. We will have a lot of... Well, still weirdness to go through. We will learn about that thing that I was talking about at Porker. We'll see more Chaotix. We'll have some mirrors.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. It's a lot of weirdness. But with all that being said, that is where we were going to be done for tonight. Another longer one. I'm hoping that we're going to lower the page count going forward a little bit. But still some good stuff in here today. I would say... Other than that skunk story feeling really weird and the pinball story being completely out of place, there was nothing that was, like, super insufferable today. The time travel story was frustrating because it looked great and it had some cool ideas, but it was just not there on a causality level or a plotting level.
Yeah, I hated that story. Everything else was either fine or pretty good.
Yeah, which is interesting because usually Kitching is the one we rely on for all of the best stuff.
Royal.
But, you know... That's how it goes sometimes. So, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, suggestions, or feedback, you can reach us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. We'll see you the Sunday after Sonic 3 comes out.
Nope, that's today, stupid.
I hope you have a great rest of your night. And take care.